So there's a lot of power in direct mail that everyone knows about, but there's also sort of an access. How do you get from where you're starting to getting the results that you want? And because there's so many steps to it, I think it can be a little intimidating to start diving in.
All right, guys, welcome to the Local Service Mastery Podcast. Today, I'm super excited because, a lot of times we're talking to different service business owners and marketers and people whose industries and niches I'm pretty familiar with. But today, I have on Kalina, who's going to share with us and tell us explore with us a whole new world of marketing and offline marketing. Kalina, thank you so much for being here.
Hi, Lior. Thank you so much for having us. I am also very excited to share some of the inner workings of direct mail because it's not something that you hear a lot about anymore, but it's definitely a very important tool in the toolbox for small businesses, especially local service businesses.
Absolutely. And first of all, I think that, we mentioned this a little bit before we went on air, but I love the internet and the fact that, we were able to really get in touch through X, Twitter, however you want to call it. And I didn't even know who I was going to talk to you because you had the mascot of your business as a profile page. And it was like, that's an amazing thing, and I think that in regards to direct mail and other traditional marketing such as door to door and all that, I think that now we're starting to see a little bit of a renaissance because of the fact that everyone's right now online, and I hear this so often from my students, my clients, people who are, you see them in the comment section on my ads, Google ads doesn't work, it's too expensive, or Facebook ads too expensive, or all these different platforms are too expensive. And all of a sudden you see people are going back to traditional marketing because when you look at the numbers, all of a sudden it's like, wow, I can get way better return on investment if I do this versus that. So let's really start from the beginning by you giving us a little bit about your background story and maybe the origin story of MailerGator.
Absolutely. So we are a small family business. My husband and I started the business back in 2020, so we've been in it for 4 years. We actually got our start as a direct mail sending platform. So we created this do-it-yourself platform for sending postcard marketing. We have a lot of family and friends that run small businesses, restaurants, funeral homes.
So you have friends who are doing run a lot of small businesses. Yep.
Yes, it was really my husband's idea that we should start serving the small business market. And we thought about direct mail. We thought about, how do you want to reach people around you in your neighborhoods? And he was like, postcards. Let's help businesses send postcards. So all right, we'll do that. So we got started as a do-it-yourself platform. We put the business on pause to have our second child. And then we relaunched last year in 2023 as MailerGator. And we put sort of a unique tool that we can talk about later that really helps our clients measure the impact of their postcard marketing. So now we do full service postcard marketing. We handle design and mailing lists and getting your whole campaign put together with a strategy and then the printing, postage, and mailing. So we take care of everything. And in the time that we've been serving our clients, we've definitely learned a lot along the way. There is a lot to learn when it comes to direct mail, and it's very important to take a strategic approach because it's not like just sending a social media, posting a social media post where you can edit it, you can delete it, you can turn off your ad campaign. Direct mail is something that once you put it out there, it's going there and it's going to arrive. So you have to have an attention to detail, and you have to be patient because it takes time for it to arrive, and you process your results. So we can get into all of that, but that's basically how we got our start in direct mail and working with our clients.
So did any of you guys, any of you had some prior experience with direct mail? It was just like, like we want to start a business, direct mail seems like a good business to start.
That was basically it. Just us being around friends and family that had cafes, restaurants, small businesses, and we thought about postcard marketing as a way to reach local neighborhoods. I guess it was just our own old school thinking that made us go in that direction, but it was definitely new to us, and so we had to sort of jump into the deep end ourselves and figure out everything along the way.
Right, amazing. And you guys like been operating for 4 years, and you said that you took like a little sabbatical for that second child. So now when we're like looking at direct mail 2024, what are some of the, first of all, trends that you guys are seeing, and like where do you even start as a service business? And this is mostly my expertise of working with service business owners such as roofers, plumbers, HVAC, and so on. Like, Google Ads, all right, guys, I'll show you how to set up a Google Ads campaign. It takes you like a few hours. Facebook ad, like, where does a business owner, a local service business owner start when it comes to, like to direct mail, basically?
Mm-hmm. Really, that's where a lot of the work comes from, is up front. You really want to take a wide lens and look at things and get everything organized as far as the logistics. And I think that's part of the challenge too, is that because there's so many details to work out, it can be hard to really get over that hump. And I think that taking a step-by-step approach is the best way. So let me outline some of those steps. So first of all, a few facts about direct mail. So direct mail has been around for over 100 years. It's something that businesses in the US in particular have been using successfully to promote their businesses, to get in contact with existing customers, reach out to new potential customers. There's a long history, a big track record of direct mail. The United States Postal Service sends out a huge volume of marketing mail every year. I think it's on the scale of over 60 billion pieces of marketing mail is sent every year. So this is a very active marketing channel. It's not like some old school, nobody uses it anymore. Like, no, this is today very vibrant. And basically you can think about it as breaking down into 3 forms of direct mail that you could use from the start. So you've got your packages, you've got letters, and then you've got postcards. So generally the bigger you're going with, you're gonna have more expense, but you're also gonna get more attention. If someone gets a package in the mail, they're gonna be curious, what's inside that? I'm gonna wanna open it up. If they get a letter, you can be very personal, potentially even doing a handwritten letter if you have a small group of existing customers that you want to reach, or even cold outreach with handwritten letters. And then you have a postcard. And I like to say postcards have 100% open rate. Everybody sees it and gets to make a decision about it. You get your chance in front of your potential customer. You get to have your say. So those are your 3 options with direct mail. And you don't have to stick to just one. You can work with them depending on your whole marketing strategy as a whole. So if you want to use a postcard campaign for cold outreach and then maybe follow up with a more personalized letter, or if you have a business that has a lot of information, maybe some hands-on pieces you want your potential customers to interact with, maybe a package would be appropriate. So definitely open your mind when it comes to the forms that you can use in direct mail. In our business, we're just sticking with postcard marketing right now. We really want to get good at that and optimize there. But there's lots of options for how you can use the direct mail channel. And I want to point out, in case some are not familiar with, there's a special program that was started just not too many years ago with the Postal Service called EDDM, which stands for Every Door Direct Mail. And that's actually a really great service for cold outreach to local neighborhoods. You get the best prices on postage, and it's sort of a do-it-yourself version of direct mail where you just want to print out your postcard mailers. You drop them off at the post office, And then you tell the post office which carrier routes you want that message to go to. This would be your service area. And they drop off your postcard at every house on the block, basically. So you're going to get the best prices that way. So they have a website, eddm.usps.com. It's really easy to use, and it's the best way to get best prices for like a do-it-yourself package to get your message out there. So that's sort of a basic overview from the top down.
That's fascinating. And like for me, as you know, as a coach and also a student, like I would come to or potentially inquire with companies like yours. Hey, can you teach me how to do this myself, first of all, the best way possible? And if I see that I do it somewhat so I can understand the whole flow of things, I would, hey, I would rather pay a little bit extra for you guys to send it over, for me. Do you guys provide any like tutorials or stuff like that around EDDM?
We're definitely working on getting some video series out there that are tutorials on every single part of the process. We don't have that yet. There are some instructions on the USPS website that you can follow, but it basically is just choosing your routes you want to send to, paying for the postage for those routes, and then you're going to go to a printer and have your postcard printed, and then you would take it and drop it off these huge stacks of your postcard at the post office. And you don't have to put any extra postage on it. You just have to make sure that when you're printing out your postcards, and this is kind of an important part, that it has the postage insignia put on there that says that it's for EDDM. So again, that's on the websites or on the Postal Service website. The instructions are on the website to make sure you get that part correct. There was something I did want to share. When you're approaching a postcard campaign, or any direct mail for that matter, is that you want to make sure that the math works for your business. So generally, if you have a business that's going to be a higher ticket, something like roofing, this isn't going to be a problem. You're going to be making enough margin, you're going to have enough lifetime value per customer that you don't have to worry about that. But if you have tighter margins, or if the lifetime value of your customer is a little lower, you definitely want to pay closer attention before you send to whether the math just works out for you. So I actually have an equation that I can share. I call it the cost per lead equation, that is very helpful for just back of the napkin figuring out, can this campaign be profitable for my company? So let me share that with you. So
Please.
Basically what you're going to be doing is calculating what you're going to get as a cost per lead in a potential campaign. And there's three variables. There's the cost per lead, there's the cost per mail piece, and then there's the response rate that you're going to get in your campaign. Now, the great thing about this equation is that it doesn't matter how big or how small your campaign is sending. You could be sending 500 postcards, 1,000 postcards, or 10,000 postcards, and it works all the same. So it's regardless of your budget, this is a great place to start. So it's basically works off of the cost per mail piece. So that's what you kind of want to figure out up front. And then you want to come up with a target response rate, and then from that you calculate the cost per lead you're going to get. So just to throw out some basic numbers. So cost per lead, this is the equation, cost per lead equals cost per mail piece divided by response rate. So let's assume you're going to average in everything for $1 per mail piece, and then you would divide by a response rate. So just a real simple number, we can say a 1% response rate. That works out to $100 cost per lead. So basically, you can start to work with these numbers even before you start planning your campaign, to think about what kind of response do we need to get and what kind of cost per lead is that going to get us. And then you can switch the variables of that equation around to get what's most important to you as you're planning. So for example, cost per mail piece, move those variables around, equals cost per lead times response rate. Or you can get a response rate that you're going to get based on cost per mail piece divided by the cost per lead.
Wait,
so it's one simple equation.
I'm not a big math guy, So when
Yeah,
it comes to equations, I need you to slow it down for me a second.
no
So
worries.
let's take a hypothetical situation. First of all, is 1% response rate, is it even like something reasonable, or is this very high? Because in my mind, 1% for cold email, cold direct mail campaign seems like, oh my god, this is very very high uh, response rate. Is this really the numbers, or what's the average that we're looking at for local services?
So it's going to vary. So these numbers you're going to get sort of like a, where are you going to pull these from? It's going to be national averages, industry averages, or just one's own experience. So what we're seeing is with the clients that we've been working with is we're bouncing around 1%, sometimes under like a half percent, sometimes 1.2% around there. So it's a workable response. Direct mail on a whole, generally, if you're getting anything above 1%, you're doing really good. On a cold outreach campaign. If you're doing a campaign to your existing client base, you can expect to get a higher response rate. But if you're just doing cold outreach, um, anything above 1%, you're doing really well. Um, Generally, it's gonna be more of a trial and error situation. You really got to get a campaign out there and feel it, and that's part of one of the challenges of direct mail is that you have to stick with it. I think I've spoken to business owners that say, "Oh, I tried that. I sent a campaign and it didn't work, so I don't do it anymore." And it's tough because sometimes you don't know if maybe you just didn't hit the right block. Whereas if you had expanded or doubled that reach, you might have seen more activity down the road a little bit. It's really hard to say, if the campaign absolutely worked for one reason or another. But yeah, a 1%. If you're getting over 1%, you're doing pretty well. So I just kind of
Alex,
throw that number on there as a nice benchmark to start with, and then you can, depending, if you like spreadsheets, you can create yourself a nice spreadsheet and sort of give yourself a range and see how that's going to affect the cost per lead that you're going to get out of a campaign, depending on how much your individual mail pieces cost.
right. So before that, I just want to, like, when you mentioned, like you just maybe haven't tested it yet, on a large enough scale. Alex Hormozy has a story that, he shared that he tried when he had like Gymland. He said that he tried sending out, I don't know, like let's say 300 or 500 mail pieces, and he told his friend, "Oh yeah, it's not, it didn't work." And he's like, "How much did you send?" And he said like, he told him like 500 or something like. He's like, "I'm not even testing less than 15,000." So it's like, it really, like you need to work with like volume and numbers for you to really get a better understanding. And I think that this is also true with, like let's say Facebook ads is, when you're just starting off with a campaign before the algorithm even knows what you're doing or who's your target audience or who's going to respond to your ads. If you're just turning it off after, I don't know, $100 ad spent, a lot of time the AI, if you don't have prior knowledge in that campaign or in that account, like you won't see anything. And these things only get better with time. But you have to stay in the game long enough for you to really see like these really good results. So that's just one thing that came to mind when you mentioned, like, if you're just sending out small number of mailers.
Yeah, I think one of the reputation of direct mail, it kind of varied. You get sort of a mixed bag when you're just speaking to individual business owners and operators, because experiences have ranged so much. Some people have really found that secret sauce and they swear by it, and it's great, and they're like, we get an amazing ROI. And then you have other folks that have tried it and felt that it's not working for them, but maybe they just haven't hit that recipe that works for them. So it can be a little intimidating in that regard. I think that large corporations, businesses that have been using direct mail for decades have had the opportunity to invest these marketing budgets where they're able to test and they're able to dial in the message, dial in the offer, and really produce campaigns that are just getting it with the ROI. And so there's a lot of power in direct mail that everyone knows about, but there's also sort of an access. How do you get from where you're starting to getting the results that you want? And because there's so many steps to it, I think it can be a little intimidating to start diving in. And that's something we try to help our clients with by breaking down the process and taking it step by step to get there. So you're not just necessarily throwing something out and seeing if it sticks, but really taking a methodical approach to it and thinking about who you're targeting, thinking about the offer that you're sending, and getting all that to be planned out before you even send your campaign, and being very thoughtful about it. Because when you're a small business, you don't have a whole marketing department behind you to do all that research. So it's that attention to detail that's going to make the difference when it comes to a direct mail campaign.
Right, and I think that, again, because we're in an age, and I don't know, like a generation with like, we just want to see instant results on everything that we're doing, and we don't have patience, and we don't have the stamina to really like play the long game. A lot of times, like, people just quit way too early. All right, let's say that you spent, I don't know, like $1,000 on a direct mail campaign that didn't work, that it flopped. Okay, if you're not continuing and you're not doing anything in that department ever again, yeah, it's lost. But if you're looking at it as a learning, experience, this is just like you're paying your tuition right now, and this is like the fee of learning the mistakes that I've just went through, and the next campaign you'll dial it a little bit better, and the next one maybe it'll break even, maybe even not, but all right, you see a little bit better results, and like you just stick to it for a long enough time horizon, you'll become successful. And same goes, by the way, with the online marketing stuff that we're teaching. If you're just trying it out one time, Google ad campaign, SEO, Facebook, whatever it is, doesn't really matter, and you're like, oh, it's not working. Man, if that's your attitude, yeah, nothing's gonna work for you. But if you're like, I'm gonna make the time, I'm gonna learn, I'm gonna adjust, I'm gonna obviously consult and get coached and have this setup to begin with as optimal as possible, but I'm willing to make mistakes along the way, learn from it, adjust, and improve as I move forward, because I know that if I have the trajectory of building, I don't know, a multi-7, 8-figure company, a service company in the next 5 to 10 years, this is an integral part of it.
I think that's true for generally all marketing. It takes some gumption to get in there and to test things along the way. As a small business ourselves, we've done the campaigns with Google Ads where you're just sort of watching the numbers go by and you're wondering, how's this going to work out? It's true for every marketing channel. It's going to take some testing, take some iteration. But if you have an approach, I think, where you're looking at exactly what is the strategy that we're taking, and you're documenting that strategy, so that when you get the results on the other end, you can look back and you can decide, did that work? Should we adjust this up? Should we adjust this down? Go in a different direction? So you're not necessarily stuck when you've sent your first campaign and you start to look at the results that you're getting, there's definitely a lot that you can learn there. And you might be pleasantly surprised because there's people out there that need your services. And so by making the effort to show up in their doorstep and to give them more information about your business, that's a service for them so that they can reach out to you when the time is right. When you're sending to a cold audience, not everyone may need your service right now. But when they do, if you have a postcard that they can keep in a drawer, that they could put up somewhere with a magnet, you may hear from them 12, 18 months down the line when they finally are like ready to go, or they need your service now, depending on the type of service. If it's something like if you're fixing garage doors, and someone wakes up one morning and their garage door isn't working, they're like, where's that postcard? I know it's around here somewhere. Yeah. Or any kind of service where you may need to educate ahead of time. If you have a cleaning, say like a carpet cleaning service business, and you want to educate your customers on how the cleanliness of their carpets in their home is going to affect their health, is going to affect their family, reaching out by direct mail and starting to build those relationships can help to not only make sales down the line, but start to build a strong relationship with your customer base so that you're going to be increasing referrals, that you're going to be increasing word of mouth, and all of that builds and accumulates over time. So while I think that we've gotten used to a lot of digital marketing techniques in which you've got your click-through rate, you've got your impressions, and you have all of this immediate feedback and numbers, that when it comes to direct mail, it's actually building more of a general feeling or a relationship with your customers that isn't always about the direct response today from a campaign, but that response over time and how that's going to be affecting your relationship and building that relationship with your customers over time.
I lost you there for a second, Kalina.
Did it freeze up?
Yeah, but yeah, I totally agree with you. Yeah, you just need to wait and measure things on a long enough time horizon. Now, if we're talking about, all right, so response rate, we understand that if we're getting anything above a 1%, we can mark it as a successful campaign. Let's talk a little bit about the cost per mail piece on average with the EDDM versus like with a done for you service like yourselves. How does that, like, what are the numbers? Is this depending on the route? Is this depending on the zip codes? Like, how do you know if it makes financial sense or not?
So one thing's going to depend on how you're going to be using your budget, and you can think of budget as both time and money. So you're going to save money the more work that you're going to be doing yourself, or you're going to save time by using vendors to get parts of the project done for you. So when it comes to doing do-it-yourself, every door direct mail campaign, you're going to be responsible for getting your postcard design. You're going to need to take that to a printer, get it printed, and then you deliver that to the post office. I think EDDM is getting postage down to, I think the lowest I've heard is like 17 cents per postcard. So, but now you need to add back into that the cost of printing, the cost of your design, and also the time that you're taking to drive around town and make all these stops. So you really want to think about your budget in full, because you've got your labor costs of doing all those tasks and then working with several vendors. So a graphic designer, a printer, and then finally paying the postage to the post office. Another way to do it is to, instead of using EDDM, is to use a commercial list that you would buy. So one of the advantages or disadvantages, how you look at it with EDDM, is that you don't have the list of people that you're sending to. The post office will just drop your postcard off at every single door. So you're not really putting a name on each postcard. It just gets dropped off at everyone along the route. Whereas if you're using a list that you purchase, now you have a name for every household, and you can even do things like personalization on your postcard where you're calling out the person's name within the design of the postcard, or you can follow up with individual households. That's part of a tool that we have that helps you follow up with individual households. And so, but you're going to be removing
based on the QR code. Like, how do you follow up with someone who, like, with an individual household?
So, with any campaign, you really want to be attentive to how you're measuring the impact of your campaign. So there's several different ways that you can do that. You can set up a dedicated phone number. You can use a QR code to track engagement. You can have a dedicated landing page. You can use a promo code. So any of those tools you can use to track the response that you're getting to your campaign. And it's critical to track the response, because otherwise you don't really know if the campaign's working or not. And that's sort of the worst feeling, because you can't even give it an up or down.
Yep.
So having a method to track in there is key. So now you want to think about how you're tracking, and are you able to attach that engagement to an individual household. And so one of the tools that we use to do that is we put a unique QR code on each postcard, so that when that QR code is scanned, it's one QR code on one postcard to one household, so we know exactly which households are engaging with your campaign. So now that you know the households out of, say, 1,000, you know the 10, 15, 20 people that engage with your campaign, you're able to reach out to them again in particular. Maybe this time you'd like to send them a personalized letter. Maybe you'd like to send maybe a package with a folder with more materials inside of it. So there's a way to follow up on that campaign, so it's not just a one shot, but now you're able to have focused follow up on those that really are showing interest in it. So that's one option that you can do to measure the impact, and then also lead into some follow up to kind of strengthen the campaign overall.
Right, and you can also tie down the thing that you can tie down. Traditional, offline marketing with online marketing is that as soon as someone, scan that QR code and lands on your landing page, you have that retargeting cookies that, then they'll see your ads on all different social media platforms, on Google, and, all across the web. So then you'll definitely catch them, whether it's like, here, there, it doesn't matter. But they're entering a pipeline that, like you said, maybe 6 months or 12 months down the road, they'll need your service. Now you're already in their face. You already build your brand awareness in their minds. So you'll be that first contact whenever they need your service.
I think that really has a lot to do with what you mentioned early on, that you feel like there's this resurgence or renaissance of direct mail right now. I think that when we had all these new digital tools, social media, Facebook ads, Google ads, when all of these became available, there was this rush into them. And so businesses sort of may have left direct mail behind, or new businesses never even started direct mail campaigns, because there were so many new avenues that were not only cheaper in the beginning, but you could also measure directly how many clicks did you get, how many impressions did you get. A lot of data that just wasn't available in a direct mail campaign unless you had some of these advanced strategies at play. But for just your average business owner putting what is basically an advertisement on a postcard and sending it out, they're not getting that feedback. That now all of a sudden we're getting feedback on Facebook ad campaigns, Google ad campaigns, social media. You get to follow how many followers you have, how many likes did you get. There's all this data coming in there. So now with direct mail and some of the tools that we have available, like QR codes, we're able to streamline people from the postcard into a digital marketing funnel. not only that, but you can create a campaign that says, watch our video demonstration, watch this video testimonial of a client that we solved a problem for. And now you're getting a direct line from someone's household, from arriving in their mailbox, knowing exactly who you're sending to. The targeting and direct mail is one of the biggest strengths. You know ahead of time. You get to decide exactly who you're going to be sending to, and craft your list to meet the needs of your business and reaching your ideal customer. Now you can direct them to your online marketing funnels or email marketing or social media, so that you're really able to build upon those relationships that you're starting in the mailbox. And one of the advantages of direct mail is that because it's physical, because it's arriving in the mail, which is a legitimate, highly trusted channel of receiving information, you're going to be building the trust with your prospective customers that you're reaching out to, because you're using a medium that has decades and decades of trust built into it. So anyone just receiving an email, they don't really know who that email is coming from. A social media account, you don't know who's behind the social media account. Even being fed up an ad on Google or on Facebook, you don't really know who's behind that. But when you receive a piece of mail in the mail addressed to you with your name on it, there's a sense of legitimacy that's conveyed that really strengthens the relationship from the start with your recipient.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And Kalina, like when we're talking about the cost of per mail piece, is this like, does it depend on the zip codes? Like, does it have any implications on the cost, or it's the same, like wherever you're sending it within the UPS route, or whatever carrier you're using?
So that's another strength of direct mail, which is that there's no surprises in the pricing. Anywhere you send, it's going to be a flat rate depending on the weight or the size of what you're sending. So if it's a package, if it's a letter, and the weight's going to vary, then you're going to have to figure out that pricing ahead of time. But something as simple as a postcard, it's just a flat rate. You know exactly what the price is going to be. Any increases in the postage rates are announced 6 months, a year ahead of time. So there's no surprises. There's no algorithm or marketplace auction pricing that you turn a campaign on and you don't even know how much it's going to cost later on. You know all this ahead of time. So you have a very clear idea of the response you need to get in order for your campaign to work for you. Or you're just budgeting in, say, like a brand awareness campaign, but you know those numbers absolutely before you start. And you get to control the numbers as well. If you have a mailing list of, say, 5,000 records on it of recipients you could send to, you don't have to send to all 5,000 right now if you don't want to. You can break that out and send 1,000 per month. You could do 1,000 one month and send to the same 1,000 the next month. So you have a lot of control over who you're sending to, how often you're sending to them, and how big and how small you want to make your campaigns. So if you just want to start small and build up, you have the option to do that. And all of the pricing is flat rate and predictable with no surprises.
Love it. Amazing. And let's talk about test groups. So, like, what's an ideal test group size? You mentioned 5,000, maybe break it down to 1,000. But from your, experience and seeing different marketing, on average, not trying to be too cheap and not try to be, like over the top. Like, what are ideal numbers for us to get a sense of whether this campaign is doing okay, or we need to switch something in the messaging, in the design, in the in the marketing material for us to determine whether it's a good campaign or not.
So I think that testing is something that you should try to build in very early on. It's very simple to A/B test a campaign by just splitting it right down the middle. Maybe change your headline, maybe change your offer, maybe change the creative or the images on postcard to see what may be grabbing more attention. But the more that you can get information of just comparing what's working better, you're going to start compounding the successes and building a stronger and stronger campaign from the beginning when you start with testing. So when it comes to the test group size that you want to start with, I would probably start with a minimum of 500 in volume, because anything less than that, you're going to have trouble with statistical significance. So you're just not going to know if this was random chance or if this is something that has a strong enough result that you can say for certain that 99 out of 100, this is actually a real result and not just some flip of the coin that something happened to turn out tails, 3 flips in a row.
Yeah.
So I think 500 is sort of my cutoff, but you can, as long as you're being consistent, if you have a really small budget and the numbers work for you, that cost per lead equation I mentioned in the beginning, as long as you've run the numbers and you can see like, okay, as long as I get a reasonable response and you want to just start sending, maybe 200, 250 a week at a time, just so it's spaced out, you can definitely do that. But the more you send, the stronger that data is going to be in sending you in the right direction, whether something's working or not. So we have an introductory package for anyone who's never done direct mail before, or maybe you've done direct mail, but now you really want to dial it in. And we recommend 2,000 postcards. It's sort of the package we offer as like our starter. I think that's a big enough size that you can cut it down the middle and have 2 strong test arms of 1,000 each. It's big enough that you're going to see what's there, and it's not too small that something may have been lost by chance. So between 500 and 2,000, I think, is a great range for testing purposes.
Got it. I think that from I have no data to support it, but from just a hunch, 500 just seemed way too low to really test anything. Like 2,000 really just like, it could give you some preliminary data, but 500 is just like, I don't know.
Well, it's true
for
because
people to think about.
When you talk to people that work in these big marketing departments that have budgets of millions of dollars, they talk in terms of sending 10,000 at a time, 50,000. That's what they're working with. So if you have the budget, go for it, because you're only going to learn something. And the more you learn, the more that those learnings are going to compound and your campaigns are going to get stronger and stronger over time. And again, that's another benefit of direct mail, is that the messaging and the offers around direct mail, they don't go stale as fast as you do on a social media campaign or a digital ad campaign, where you have to be cranking out new content every week or even daily to keep pulling people's attention in. And also in that regard, when it comes to putting your campaigns out there on digital, you've got all your competitors that are looking at your campaigns and starting to copy what they see is working. Whereas direct mail is sort of your secret sauce. No one knows how much you're sending, what message you're sending, what offer you're sending. It's really, and I think that's why there's a lot of mystery around direct mail too, is because when businesses find what works, they don't talk about it.
Right.
Whereas you can go on Facebook, you can go on Google and literally look up the ads of other businesses. You can go on the ad libraries and you can see exactly what their offers are, exactly what their ad creative is. and you can copy it. You copy what's working. And that's sort of like a general practice for people getting started in the digital ad space is like, well, go see what's working and do that first and then try to improve it. Whereas direct mail, everyone tends to just go out on their own and have to figure it out on your own. But once you figure it out, it's yours to keep, and you can run these campaigns for years. And you just keep building on the strength of it and making little tweaks and testing. And sometimes you'll get a setback, like, whoa, that didn't work when we changed it. Let's go back to what was working. But it's yours to keep, and you are in control. You don't have to worry about a profile being suspended. You don't have to worry about an overnight change in the algorithm where you used to rank number 1 and all of a sudden you're down at number 3 or number 4. You are in the driver's seat with direct mail. You're in complete control, and you own the relationship with your recipients from your desk to their driveway. It's all yours.
That's I love it. I love it. And yeah, I personally always recommend, for students of mine, hey, go to Meta Business Suite and just check out what on the ad library, what your competitors are doing, and yeah, just get the general idea. Obviously, you want to bring your own voice into it, and you want to, build your own character, but just see what offers are out there and build up based on that. Yeah, it's really valid. Now, when it comes to, like, how in sales they say, I don't know, like, let's just say 70% of sales happen on the 4th or 5th interaction. How does that go with direct mail? Like, do you see any stats of first time versus second, third, fourth in terms of response rate?
It's generally best practice to try to do a follow-up campaign to the same households that you're sending to. And one of the reasons for that is just the age-old people are busy, and so they might miss your message the first time around. The second time around, you have not only the opportunity to get another pass by them, but you can work into your campaign a sequence to your offer. So if you have an offer that's seasonal, if let's say spring, you might want to do an earlier campaign a few weeks ahead of time that says spring's almost here, time to get ready. And then a few weeks later, spring's here, let's go, take this offer now. It's only going to be available for the next couple of weeks. So there's ways to build momentum into your campaigns with those scheduled follow-up sequences. So it's not just like running an ad twice, but you get to control the message in batch number 1 versus batch number 2. And so there's a lot of control that you can play in there as well, controlling the message, the timing of the message, and how often they're going to hear from you.
And do you see any changes, like imperial, like numbers on what's the response rate usually when it's the first interaction with that household versus second or third? Do you know on average, like what are the numbers?
I don't think I have any numbers specifically, like over time. Trying to think. So our QR code tracking is really good at giving you those exact numbers. It's something that we built just in the last year. So we haven't had a large number of follow-up campaigns sent out just yet. But even something like a seasonal campaign or something that you would send quarterly. So if you want to do 4 times a year, 6 times a year, those start to build. So even if someone's not engaging right away, they can come around later. So it's going to take some patience. It's going to take some time to get those numbers and to get that data full out. So we sent campaigns before we did the QR code tracking, but it was sort of like the old way of doing things where you send it out and you don't necessarily know what that response is. Maybe they're looking at it, maybe they're not. the great thing about the QR code tracking is that you know for sure not only they looked at it, but they decided to pick up their phone and scan the QR code on your postcard. So you do have an exact number in that case. So we're starting to be able to get that data, but I don't have any numbers right now about uh, months later or down the line, like how. But it's going to be interesting to see
Yeah.
over time how all of that plays out. And it's going to take some creativity with the campaigns too, and really having them well organized to be able to track that data. So I'm definitely looking forward to learning more as we go. It's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, it's exciting for sure. For sure. The more tools that we have to track what we're doing and to really measure the results, the better we all are as marketers, as business owners, as smart investors in our business growth and future. So yeah, I hope to see one day some stats on that, because I'm sure there's the compound effect of just like people seeing your ad. It's like retargeting, right? Like they might not reach out on the first time they saw you. Most likely they won't, but after they saw you 6, 7, 10 times, they'll eventually reach out if they need your service. So it's going to be interesting to look at these numbers sometime in the future. Now let's talk a little bit about design and styles of postcards. So where, like, when I'm thinking of postcards, it's either very colorful, right? Like something that is like maybe with like the big mascot, and like something is like very bombastic on the one hand, and on the other hand, I'm thinking of something very simplistic, like maybe even though it's like it's printed, it's written down in like a handwrite style, or something like very short sentence and a QR code, or like how Coinbase did in last year's Super Bowl commercial. Nothing, no words, just like a big QR code jumping all over the screen. What can you tell us and the viewers about different styles? What works better for some sort of industries, or some data that you have on these different marketing styles?
I think you definitely want to start with your ideal customers. Start with the people that are going to be receiving your postcard, and think about it from their point of view. So you want to get your creative, your imagery, your typography, everything about the visual of your postcard. You want it to match with your brand, your messaging, and the type of experience, the emotional effect that you want to have on your recipients. So if you have something where this is something that might be critical to the safety and well-being of the recipients and their family, then you're going to be more bold, brighter colors, something to just convey like the importance of your service and how it's going to keep them safe and in their homes, or just convey that health messaging around there. Or if you have a target audience that you want to help them save time, save money, then those are going to be the kind of call outs, those are going to be the kind of visuals that you're going to want to create. It's not so much about assigning a specific style to a specific industry, but thinking about the message and the feelings that you want to create in your recipient. It's a whole package of the message, the offer, all of your headlines, and the images that you're going to use on the postcard match to the recipient that you're doing. It's a combination of that creates like a targeting package based on who you're sending and the message that you're trying to convey. So,
No, sorry, I was just wondering, like, if you've seen some successes with like plain postcard and just like, I don't know, like stop using your current carpet cleaning services before you watch this, and then like a QR code or like something like very simplistic but very intriguing that got like an amazing response rate that was like, wow, this thing is like something that's really, really good.
Well, I remember a campaign that we did for a cleaning business, and we had just your general, cleaning, stock photography, pictures of a really nice house, makes you feel good. I'd want to live there. I want my house to look like that. And then we played around with something specific. Like I remember we had a picture of a dog, and the picture of the dog like on the couch, comfortable, lying there, performed better than just the general clean house imagery. So that was just a test, but it worked out in the sense that it identified something that made the recipients connect more to that campaign when you had the dog on the couch than you had just a clean kitchen. So I think it goes to show that it's not so, you do want to be attention grabbing, but there has to be meaning in there, because there's lots of things that grab our attention all the time, and then people are annoyed because their attention was just grabbed and they don't really want that, and it's not relevant to them, and you're just annoying them by getting their attention but not giving them anything to connect to. So when you can create a message or send it either with your offer or with your headline or with a specific image that you're using on your postcard, as long as you're conveying a meaning, that benefit, that importance, why it matters to your recipient, I think that's the most important part, instead of bells and whistles that, yes, you'll grab their attention, but what are you going to do with that attention now you have it? So really think about what is the feeling that we're conveying with the visuals on this postcard, not just, will this get their attention? Like, it will, because it came in the mail. They'll at least look at it, because everyone wants to know, did they receive something important? And that's part of the investment you make in direct mail. It's a little more expensive than sending an email or putting out a social media post. But because it's a little more expensive, less businesses are sending in the mailbox. So when your message arrives, you at least get to have your say, and they will look at it. And if they decide it's not right for them right now, then they'll pass on it. But you have an opportunity to really show why you matter in their lives and allow them to see that benefit, to have that feeling that makes them want to reach out or makes them want to consider your service, because it's now going to be of benefit to them. And you show that through the imagery, you show that through your messaging. So for example, if you could have a campaign that's sent only to households with children in it. So now you can include pictures of family on your postcard. Let's say you have a cleaning service and you want to say, like, a healthy household is going to help your children perform better in school, to be more attentive, to just be happier and healthier. Or you could say, this is the best time of their lives. Why waste it cleaning your house? Let us take care of that. Or same thing with the lawn service. How is your Saturday better spent? Out playing with the kids or doing your lawn yourself? So being able to connect a message that brings in emotion and really says, this is what you're looking for. Not because it's a service, not because it costs this much, or here's the offer with a discount. Like, all those things are great. But to really, the ability to put something in someone's hands where they can have a feeling from it, it can get them emotionally stirred up at the outcome that they're going to get once they call or book on your website, once they reach out to you, that you're leading them towards that outcome of whether it's better health for their family or more time. Maybe they're saving money. Maybe they'll be able to afford more vacations with their family because of whatever service you're helping and the benefit that it provides. But being able to use the targeting of your list. So another example would be if you're targeting an older, like 55 plus crowd, and you really want to emphasize like breathe better with our service, or rest assured knowing that this is solved, or have us come in and we'll do an inspection so you don't have to worry. Really directing that message, directing the visuals towards what that specific audience is going to respond to because of the benefit, because of the emotional impact. And I think that those are the aspects of the campaign that you really want to target and you want to focus in on first and get correct. And then you can sort of work on the little details of, is this font better than this font, or should we use this color versus that color? All of those things are going to have an impact, but if you have someone's attention but you don't have an impact in their lives, it's going to fall flat.
Yeah, I love it, and I feel like nowadays a lot of business owners are just trying to, let's do, I don't know, the air duct cleaning for 129 versus like what you're trying to say is just like, why are we doing this? What's the outcome? What is the vision that you have for them? And that's storytelling. And this is what the biggest brands, the biggest marketing agencies in the world, they're not trying to say, oh, you can get this for cheap. No, it's just like you're trying to convey a feeling with your target audience that they'll be like, I want to get this feeling, and then they associate the product or the service with that feeling. So it's an art. Is this something that you guys help craft for like the businesses that you work with?
We definitely have like a blueprint approach in which we sort of ask all these questions. So going into it. So who is your ideal customer? How can we break that ideal customer into groups? So you could have a very wide customer base with lots of different people and with all of their own individual motivations and things that are important to them. But if you're able to break that customer base down into these sections, and then you can craft a campaign for each. So you don't necessarily have to send one big campaign to everyone. One of the benefits of direct mail is that we can use a list that goes specifically to an older generation household, a household with children, a household of a specific income range, so that when you're talking to your recipients, you're talking specifically to them, and your message and the visuals on your postcard are all directed based on who they are and what's important to them, because you're able to segment out and send to those specific segments at a time, so that your message is lined up, your visuals are lined up, and your offer is lined up. So an offer with a steep discount based on I'm just trying to think off the top of my head. You can get really creative with these campaigns and the type of offers that you're creating. So we recommend sort of thinking through what's the best offer that you can get. Is that offer relevant to this segment that you're sending to, and tying all of those things in together. So one thing to mention with crafting an offer is that, especially with a cold outreach campaign, you want to lead with the strongest offer that you can, because you're making the effort to show up. This is your chance, and you can build that relationship and increase customer value down the line. But having those leads to start with is what you're going to be working with. So get your best offer out there to just get them in the door, and then you can work and now you can put them on your email list. Now you can connect with them on social media. Now you can share more video resources you have online. You can start to build those relationships, but having a really great offer at the start gets the ball rolling. So definitely think about what's the strongest offer we can make in order to get those leads coming, so that you can build upon those relationships that you're starting.
I love it. Yep, absolutely. And again, same applies for also online marketing. Unless they're coming and Google search versus social media ads, Facebook ads, Instagram, and so on, it's a bit different, because Google ads, bit costly in comparison to social media because they're looking for the service. So you have more room, like to get maybe give little discounts or lesser discounts and stuff like that, and more, being the authority versus social media where it's like they never saw you before and you have to capture their attention with that, amazing offer that they just have to stop scrolling and reach out to you first thing. Now, let's talk for a second about the legality of all this. Like, first of all, like buying a list, are there any legal restrictions? Is this something that is like permitted or not? And what about, like, for example, when someone doesn't want to see my ads, it can just block my page or show not interested. Like, how does that go with direct mail? Are there any restrictions or things like that advertisers or business owners should be aware of?
So if you're using something like EDDM, you don't have to worry about that at all. You don't even see the list. Post office takes care of all of it. But if you're using a brokered list, these are lists that have been curated legally for decades. And this is a very old school method that still works today. And there's a lot of power behind it because these lists can be very detailed as far as the households you're sending to. There's also, like, if you are a resident and you don't want to receive marketing mail anymore, you can put your address on a do not send list. And so that list is something that we can compare against too, so we can remove people from your list that don't want to be sent to, which is good for the business owner, because why waste your marketing dollars on someone that's just not interested right off the bat? So if you want to, we can do that extra filter. But really, there's not too many addresses that are filtered out because just not many people actually have their addresses removed. So it's really not that big of a concern. And honestly, for our clients and the campaigns that we send, we value our recipients. We are our recipients too. Like we also receive mail. So every campaign is about bringing value to who you're sending to. This is not about extracting value from your community. You're there to serve. As a business, you are there to serve, and it's an exchange of value between the business and the customer. So everything we send is respectful. It's oriented to serve the recipients. So there's really nothing to worry about. I mean, we wouldn't send anything that we ourselves wouldn't want to receive. So as long as you just stick to being a good person and representing your business well, I think there's, sometimes you get some pieces of mail that maybe have like this legalese to them. They feel a little off. Like this is not a nice piece of mail to send. There's lots of red letters and underlined things. I think, there's going to be some bad actors on any marketing channel. And so just don't be that bad actor and,
Right.
and send respectful campaigns that serve your customer base, that are welcoming to your recipients, and use, you can just Google, there's lots of brokered lists available for you to use. So yeah, everything's definitely on the up and up.
Amazing. It's, I feel like, again, this is really a time, 2024, for people to explore more marketing channels than what we came, accustomed to over the past decade. So tell us a little bit about your company, MailerGator. You guys, do you work in all lower 48, all 50 states? Do you guys work just in the Midwest? How does that go? Where can people find out a little bit more about you? I'm eager to know.
Sure. So we focus on postcard marketing. We're a full service postcard marketing agency. So we handle everything from design to curating your mailing list, helping you set your strategy. We can do personalization on the postcards. We have our unique QR codes feature that I mentioned I could add a little bit more about. And we take care of all of the printing, all of the addressing, all of the postage and mailing. And we do that all across the US, all 50 states. Our pricing is flat rate, so you can plan out your campaign ahead of time knowing exactly how much you want to spend and how much you want to send, the volume you want to send. We have first class and standard options, so depending on, again, that's going to affect your pricing. And we have a package that we've created. We do sort of like print and mail, so if you have your postcard ready and you just want to add a unique QR code on top of it, we can do that for you. Or if you have your list ready, you can send that over to us and we'll address all of your postcards and get that out in the mail for you. So we do sort of the a la carte services, but what we've created is an introductory package. We call it our postcard plunge, so that people can get their feet wet with direct mail for the first time if they've never done it before. And that's a package of 2,000 postcards, and we take you through a strategy session so that you can think about how this campaign's going to play in the context of all of the other marketing that you're doing. If you want to send it all at once or if you want to space it out, we help you go through the design process, the mailing list, and of course any personalization and doing the QR code tracking and analysis after your campaign is sent. So we've created that package, the postcard plunge, to get people started. If they want to check it out, it's on our website at mailergator.com/plunge, PLUNGE. So it's something
We'll
to
also put it
consider if
down
you
in
want
the
to get
links
started.
below under the video, so people can check it out.
Sure. So the one thing that we do that we think is really unique, and I actually haven't heard of anyone else doing this, so I'm kind of keeping my ears open to see if this is actually available anywhere else, which is putting a unique QR code on each postcard so that when it goes out, you get to track which households are engaging with your postcard so that you can do this precision follow-up. But also you get to get sort of an open rate on your campaign. So email marketing, everyone talks about, oh, what's your open rate? What's your open rate? Now we kind of have that with using the QR codes. We can see exactly how many of your postcards were picked up and scanned, and combine that with A/B testing, where we can attach metadata to each QR code to say that this household got headline A, this household got headline B, or the offer was different in different households. Now you start testing, now you start compounding and improving your campaigns so they're getting stronger over time. And this can actually be combined with EDDM, which is that you do a small test batch to do the A/B testing, see exactly what's the engagement rate on each side of that test, take the winner of that test and use it in an EDDM campaign where you're going to get the very lowest postage rates. So test early with small batches that are tracked, and then go ahead and send your EDDM campaign knowing that you've already tested that offer, you've already tested that message, and that's the winner. So direct mail is very exciting for those of us that like to play with the data and play with the numbers and get really creative. There's, the last thing that I would suggest is like have a back end ready to accept that response and how you're going to process it. So having a call to action that's visit our website or call us is sort of step one. But if you can send them to a landing page that's going to capture their email, use all those techniques that we've created in the digital marketing space of lead magnets, landing pages, email capture, and put that on the back end of your postcard campaign. Now you're targeting exactly who you want to pull from your community and welcome them as customers and getting them into your digital marketing funnel so that you're really strengthening that relationship. You can keep sending them postcards, but you can also start sending them emails. You can connect to them on social media. You can give them access to videos, maybe even like private video content to educate them as a consumer on why your service is going to improve their life. It's going to increase the value of their home or all of those benefits that they're going to get in the end. So direct mail is just the starting point. There's a lot to play with, and it's very exciting, this renaissance, as you called it, to see how it's going to all play out in the future here.
Absolutely. Last follow-up question before I let you go, because again, like I could just sit all day and just learn, and like it's fascinating world. But with the QR code, will we be able, or will the business owners be able to have it sent to their website, or is it must be on your landing pages? Because obviously there are limitations when we're talking about pixels and stuff like that when it's on other platforms versus if it's just hopping from the QR code with a 301 redirect or whatever it is to their landing pages.
So we have it set up so that you can create a custom domain. So you can create a subdomain that's like qr.yourbusiness.com or open.yourbusiness.com or go.yourbusiness.com. So creating just some custom subdomain that will forward to a destination URL of your choosing. So the QR code is actually encoded with that custom subdomain that you create. So, you know, when you scan a QR code, you get sort of a preview of the URL that's going to be open. You get to decide whether you want to open it or not. They're going to see your domain there because we've set up this custom domain for you. So it's a very seamless process. They don't see anything about us, even though under the hood, we're going to be doing the redirecting. It's very seamless, and all that recipient sees is your website. First it'll be the subdomain, and then it will go to whatever destination URL you want to send to. And that destination URL can be updated too. So if you have a special offer that you're sending them to right now, a special landing page, you can send them to that landing page now, and when the offer's done, you can now send them to your homepage. You can change that URL. So if they're going to hold on to the postcard for 6 months or a year, the QR code will still work in the future, sending you to your website, except now just go to the homepage instead of that special offer that's now over.
And that's through your CRM.
Yeah, our servers. Yeah, we have everything set up. So right now we control everything internally. We do all that settings. We're planning a interface where you will be able to just log in and update your destination URL yourself. You'll be able to see all of the engagements you've got with your QR codes as they come in live. So that's in the works. Right now we just see it on our end, in our back end systems, but we're going to be building out a client interface so that our clients can just check that anytime they want to, and maybe set up some alerts too, so you can get an email that says, hey, someone just scanned your postcard. That's coming in the future though.
Beautiful. Kalina, thank you so much for sharing all this knowledge with us. I'm sure people are going to watch it, going to be blown away by all the value that you gave away for people. For you guys watching this, first of all, if you want to use and you want to test out direct mail, Kalina is your gal. Make sure to reach out. There's going to be a link to that plunge URL underneath this video. Of course, if you enjoyed this podcast and if you want to see some more videos just like this, make sure to hit the like and subscribe to our channel. And really, again, Kalina, thank you so much for all of this. I personally am going to reach out to you, and I'm going to talk to you after the show, because I want to see how we can do some direct mail to B2B. Is this something that you also do, or just B2C?
Well, B2B, because that's what we do. So we, having a tool like this is great for us, because we're also setting up our own campaigns, and we, the same as there are brokered lists where you can go neighborhood by neighborhood and target resonances. You can do the same thing with businesses. So you can get businesses of a certain size. You can target by industry. So all of that is available in B2B too. So this is definitely a B2B channel if you want to take it in that direction too. Absolutely, we do it ourselves.
All right, we'll talk after the show. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you. Such a pleasure.
Enjoy this. Yes, it was amazing. Thank you so much, and thank you, Elon Musk, for buying Twitter and allowing this to really happen.
Yeah, and there's so much to know about direct mail, and we're constantly sharing everything that we learn on our Twitter/X. So at MailerGator, follow along, and I think you'll definitely learn a lot.
I'm following, and I suggest all of you guys will do the same. Thank you, and I'll see you here in the next one. Peace.